pursuit of national power, unity, integration, and development, the Nigerian Army believes in creating positive impacts in the lives of the average citizen in fulfillment of its corporate social responsibilities and constitutional mandate. For instance, the Nigerian Army in the last 5 years has carried out more than 1,000 quick impact-related, civil military-related projects across the country aimed at bridging the gap between it and the civil populace, while also projecting the image of the Nigerian Army in good light. While each operation has its own volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous characteristics, success is often influenced by the presence or lack of population-centric strategies, or an act of winning the hearts and minds of the populace. We are all aware that the cyberspace is the latest domain of modern warfare. Therefore, social media presents a veritable tool in influencing and shaping public opinion, which is critical in deciding outcome of battles. There is so much, therefore, that the social media can do in support of Nigerian Army operations across the country. For instance, the continuous surrendering of Boko Haram insurgents and their humane reception by the Nigerian military has been perceived negatively by some online communities based on their comments on social media and by extension, Nigerians. However, this development ought to be a testimony of the effectiveness of the efforts put in place by the military to defeat insurgency. It is essential to note that tackling insecurity generally involves the use of both kinetic and non-kinetic methods. These methods are complementary, and situations where criminals are encouraged to surrender does not mean they will evade prosecution for crimes committed. Currently, thousands of Boko Haram terrorists and their families have surrendered to our gallant troops and are being profiled. Unfortunately, such efforts are always misreported or underreported, thereby undermining the unrelenting efforts and sacrifices of our selfless soldiers at tackling insecurity. Conversely, most media houses prefer to propagate sensitive reportage that scare and attract negative attention rather than headlines geared towards celebrating the gallantry and efforts of our troops. Such acts give credence to activities of criminals as well as boosting their morale and confidence to commit more crimes. However, with the current vigor and enthusiasm of the Nigerian Army under the able leadership of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, the narratives and perspectives have changed. The current giant gains being recorded by the Nigerian Army in the fight against terrorism and insurgency, as well as other criminal elements across the country, are as a result of the renewed vigor, effort, and resilience of our gallant troops. The efforts, no doubt, will ensure peace, security, and stability in our dear country. It is my belief that the interaction and cross-fertilization of ideas during this seminar would make us better informed. It is therefore in this context that the theme for the 22nd edition of the social media seminar is the Nigerian Army's non-kinetic lines of operations, critical roles of the social media.
The human quest for adequate security and expansionist tendencies towards economically viable societies for the improvement of living standards led to the establishment of military institutions. Military institutions have consequently been the basis for statehood, power, and influence. This was witnessed in the emergence and security of ancient Greek cities. These states and empires had a relationship between the military class and people leading to greater cooperation for the advancement of the society. Nigeria is currently estimated to have between 250 and 330 military bases that are dispersed across the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, from where different operations have been projected in the last 2 decades in the conduct of internal security operations. The conduct of personnel and their projected operations have generated both positive and negative effects for the development and security of host communities and concerns of the civil society, as well as media practitioners. Military action alone is insufficient to prevent or resolve crises or conflicts. Success in operations require enhanced interaction amongst military and non-military actors at all levels. It is therefore crucial that all sides fully understand how each partner plans, operates, and evolves harmonious working relationships towards the attainment of positive image and perception management for the Nigerian Army. Now, what is civil military cooperation? John defines civil military cooperation as the coordination of all activities between the military and specialized human agencies and other stakeholders in support of a common objective during peace and war. Covenant defines joint operations as 2 or more independent services of the same nation functioning in their operational environments, whether land, sea, or air, under a single point of command to meet a common goal. Now, social media. Bobby Lewis defines social media as internet tools such as blogs, YouTube, Flickr, MySpace, and Facebook, which allow the average person to create content that can be shared with a worldwide audience. The interactive nature of these tools has transferred media messages from a one-way communication to facilitating a dialogue. Social media is the new buzzword in communications and marketing industry. It is the current label for digital technologies that allow people to connect, interact, produce, and share content. So, that brings us to critical stakeholders who are social media practitioners or influencers and civil society organizations, as they have been identified as germane towards the successful attainment of military accomplishments. Now, history of civil military cooperation. Civil military cooperation was initially adopted by the United States Army during the Second World War, when civil affairs units were maintained with civil military cooperation tasks assigned. In the mid-1990s, civil military cooperation as a military capability was conceptualized and applied by NATO forces in response to lessons learned in the Balkans. The objective was the creation of a military tool for analysis and action that will integrate the civil dimension in an effort to meet the challenges posed by military operations through incorporating civil actors in military missions accomplishments. This was consequent upon the realization that tackling insecurity requires the use of both kinetic and non-kinetic methods. The Nigerian Army has therefore in the last 5 years carried out several civil military related projects aimed at bridging the gap with the military populace through the Nigerian Army Department of Civil Military Affairs. This department was established in December 2010 by the then Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ejirika, to serve primarily as an interface between the Nigerian Army and the civil populace. It has the responsibility of underscoring the fundamentals of civil military affairs as a strategic national institution. The department is also charged with introducing and transmitting the core elements of effective civil military relations in areas of human rights, rule of law, negotiations, liaison, and conflict management. Now, principles of civil military cooperation. The principles include understanding the context and environmental awareness, which include culture and key actors, understand aims and objectives of military and civil actors, which include culture, again, unity of efforts, and synchronized planning. They must operate within the law, gain respect and trust, interaction, transparency, and legitimacy, civil primacy and ownership, reduce dependency and prepare for transition, integration planning, effective communication. Now, the lines of civil-military cooperation. These are liaison, support, and deconfliction and coordination. The military wants to hold its members accountable and maintain good order and discipline. We should invest in a form of social media monitoring to conduct routine checks on service members' social media accounts. It is not feasible, however, to deny service members the ability to have social media accounts because of their extensiveness in everyday life and their significant benefits to the platforms. However, more tangible actions is needed for accountability to include appropriate levels of punishment depending on the violation. Finally, because social media is integral to everyday life and it is unrealistic to forbid its usage, more training and education is needed amongst the officer corps regarding the gravity of partisan rhetoric on various platforms. This should include mandatory annual training in addition to more emphasis within and throughout an officer's professional military education. Until military officers refrain from political discourse, the credibility for them to maintain good order and discipline among enlisted and lower ranks is impossible. As military partisanship becomes more transparent on social media, the public and civilian leadership may begin to lose trust in its military. Some level of secrecy is essential, and this I refer to media disclosures of sensitive security matters, to both national security and democracy. Through excessive secrecy undermines democratic accountability and decision-making, and sometimes national security itself. Disclosure decisions in a democracy thus must balance the importance of public knowledge and the risk of exposing and undermining desirable policies or damaging national security master plan. Pertinent of all this is, before a journalist goes to press, the pertinent question must ask is, who benefits from this sabotage? The government, the people, or the terrorists? First of all, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Armed Forces of Nigeria is a subset of the society. Without the society, the armed forces will not exist. And without the armed forces, the society will not exist. Something happened incidentally in Abuja, where the Brigade of Guards were ambushed and they lost a number of men. Do you know that what really happened is that they fought, they went after the insurgents, and over 20 of those insurgents were killed. Instead of saying that 7 soldiers were killed, it could have been the Nigerian army neutralizes 25 insurgents. However, 7 heroic soldiers paid the supreme sacrifice. Is it not the same story? Yeah. Who are you writing it for? For this state. When you write those kind of irresponsible headlines, you are writing it against the state without realizing, and you are trying to glamorize the terrorists. And what does the terrorists thrive on? Propaganda, media, ensuring that there is fear. That's why they make those videos and share it. If somebody sends me a video of a terrorist beheading somebody, I will never share that video. Because once you share it, you are equally a terrorist. Because they are putting it, they want it to go viral, and we are helping them to go viral. Why are we not celebrating our men? They should seek clarification and authentication before disclosing sensitive military activities or operations. Ensure their activities do not in any way support, enable, or foster the interests of terrorists or insurgents in Nigeria. Within peculiar organizational constraints, ensure engagements with terrorists or insurgents are made known to local military authorities within their area of interest. And civil society groups must do more in exposing and clamping down on illegitimate organizations claiming to represent it.
Perception is one of the objective of communication, to change people's perception, to change behavior, to get them to do things the right way, to get them to toe your line, to get them to understand the Nigerian army. That's why we even go out to say, let's communicate, let's share information. This is a newsworthy activity. Let's take it to the public to change perception of the public. Fake news is false or misleading information presented as news. Fake news often has the aim of damaging the reputation of the person or entity or making money through advertising revenue. During the COVID period, Kamala Harris made a statement about vaccine. It was craftily edited to present her as not supporting the vaccine. Will you call that fake? Would that be fake news? I would think it's malinformation. To present a very high-ranking US official as one who thinks that the vaccine is not good. But she didn't say that. Someone sat down, edited it, and shared it. Fake news spreads faster than real news. They agree. They are spread by people to get followers, likes, or for their news to go viral. And when your news goes viral, people are making money, they are cashing out. They are created to deceive the reader, viewer, or listener. People benefit from spreading fake news. Fake news is more associated with online social media, citizen journalism. When you keep hearing a particular false narrative, someday you start to question the truth. When somebody presents this truth to you, you start questioning, you start having doubts. But as citizens, ordinary citizens, we need to question. We need to learn to question. We need to learn a little bit of fact-checking, how to verify what we see. Don't just take anything for it. If you don't see it in the traditional media, or if you see it first, just trending, try and find those other sites that you think are credible. At this point, I'm not in the Nigerian army, but these are some of the points I think that the Nigerian army needs to counter fake news. Security is everybody's business, we agree. And our national security, it's the sole responsibility of the armed forces, including the Nigerian army, to help us to maintain our territorial integrity, national security. So when there's constant heat on the Nigerian army, fake news, what do you think will happen? Public confidence will be eroded. As a leading stakeholder on the war against terrorism, the Nigerian army needs to be seen in good light. The institution charged with helping us to fight terrorism that we are all experiencing. When you are traveling out of your house, you start praying, you start thinking, and then the organ of government that is responsible is taking the bash left and right. It's not fair. I read some comments on a tweet made by the Nigerian army on its verified Twitter handle last night. And the comments I was seeing under, just a few comments, were not nice. It goes to show you that people out there are not satisfied, they are not happy. But this may not be the true position. But as a result of the perception we have of the Nigerian army. Safety of the officers and men at the forefront. Let me say this, I may not have another opportunity to say it. The Nigerian army parades an array of fine officers, highly educated, gentlemen. I've interacted with only a few, and I know that they are in a class of their own. And now, these men have families. Each officer has siblings, parents, children. I mean, when you want to post, you want to share, think about those men that are at the forefront of this battle against terrorism. And you will think twice. But for those who are benefiting from it, they are not thinking. So when you keep bashing their image, how do you think they will stand in the region as one of the best? These are samples of stories I got from doing my research online. This is Vanguard. Allegation of delayed soldier salaries for January is fake news. Army is defending. The Guardian. Ignore fake news on secret trial execution of soldiers. Nigerian Army defending. Premium Times. These are top media organizations in Nigeria, and this is online. Nigerian Army is weaponizing fake news to discredit journalists. Attack. And then the Lekki tollgate issue is on New York Times, it's on CNN, it's on Premium Times, different accounts here and there. The Nigerian Army should think more about improving its public relations by boosting the way it relates with the public through the media. There should be better or improved dissemination of information about some aspects of its operations to the public. I know it's a security organization and that so a lot of its activities should be coded, but we have reached that point where some of the activities need to be in the open. The level of secrecy is too intense, and so speculations are rife. In public relations, we say that if you don't define yourself, you leave yourself to be defined how people see it. You have to be proactive, you have to come out there and say it as it is, and counter what you think. In fact, before you even start countering, people will just go to your site and they'll be helping you to share that this is not true. The spokespersons or authorized personnel need to utilize effectively social media platforms more effectively and efficiently. Find ways of engaging social media as well as traditional media practitioners. This can be done through personnel with authority and knowledge to respond to any falsehood being peddled on social media, with 32.9 million active users as of January 2020.
As the name implies, social media seminar organized by Army Headquarters Department of Civil Military Affairs in Conjunction of Security Affairs Limited is designed to interface with members of the public, civil society organizations, especially online community, talking of social media influencers, social media bloggers, so that we can educate them about what truly the Nigerian Army is doing, as against the misinformation, different perceptions they usually get about us. And so this seminar is one of those avenues that we use to educate them. Well, misconception means you having an idea about something which is not true. So you are interpreting the thing the way you perceive it. But in the actual sense of it, that is not. And that's what most of the time commanders in the field conducting different operations tell with. Things that happen, how we interface with civilians, they will come and tell you, or they will write on social media that this is what happened. After all, that is not true. So part of this seminar is to carry out perception management and then tell members of the public the true situation of things. The Army has a department or a directorate, Army Public Relations, that releases press releases to members of the public periodically to tell them what the Army is doing. And those press releases are done also, not only by Nigerian Army, even at Defense Headquarters level. We have Director of Defense information. Anything to do with defense, anything to do with the Army, they give out those information. So we are not rigid with information as well. So we have to remove that perception from you too.